All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, good evening, councilors. Let's kick off the meeting with a roll call.
Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Present.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Present.
Councilor Recupero.
Here.
Councilor Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Robinson.
Here.
Councilor Tesher.
Here.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Present.
Councilor Santiago.
Present.
Councilor Vega is absent. Councilor Brown.
Present.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Present.
10 members present. You have a quorum, Madam President.
Thank you, Clerk.
Councilor Vega is present.
Councilor Vega just arrived. Okay, full house. Memoriams and celebratory resolutions.
Our sole resolution is a resolution introduced by the Council President and all members for LGBTQ+ Pride Month. Whereas during LGBTQ Pride Month, celebrated annually in the month of June, we recognize the determination and resilience of individuals who are fighting to live freely and authentically, and affirm our obligation to uphold the dignity of all people and protect the most vulnerable among us. And whereas a law enforcement raid of the Stonewall Inn in New York City in 1969 sparked demonstrations that served as a call to action and continue to inspire us to live up to our nation's promise of equality, liberty, and justice for all. And whereas members of the LGBTQ+ community face disparities in education, employment, healthcare, housing, and many other areas central to the pursuit of happiness, while LGBTQ+ youth, especially those of color, are at an increased risk of suicide, homelessness, bullying, violence, and human trafficking. And whereas while substantial progress has been made since Stonewall, many states do not provide protections for fundamental rights and dignity in hospitals, schools, public accommodations, and other spaces, while many in the LGBTQ+ community face discrimination, inequality, and overt acts of violence. And whereas the City of Chelsea held its 10th annual LGBTQ+ Pride flag raising on Saturday, May 31st, 2025, from 4 to 7 p.m. at Washington Park, with music, community market, and live performances. Now therefore be it resolved that the Chelsea City Council recognizes June 2025 as LGBTQ+ Pride Month in the City of Chelsea, acknowledging the valuable contributions of LGBTQ+ individuals across the United States, and reaffirms our commitment to standing in solidarity with LGBTQ+ Americans in their struggle against discrimination and injustice.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there a motion? Absolutely. You have the floor, Councilor.
Thank you, Madam President. I want to thank the maker of the resolution here. It was an honor for me, myself, to be in attendance on this past Saturday for the 10th anniversary. I had the opportunity also to speak on one of our advocates and one of the persons that did a lot of work with the LGBTQ community, Olivia Walsh. It was a little windy, a little rainy out there, but we held up and we had some nice times out there. It was great to see the community come together. It's been a long time. It's really important for us to go out and just really support all of our community members here. We have different folks from different walks of life. This is a community that we support. I feel honored to be supporting them for their right to love who they choose to love, the dignity and respect that they deserve. It was a great event, a great honor to be there, and I look forward to committing myself to working with them on the upcoming events throughout the years and years to come. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Sandegate.
Yes, I was also able to attend as an extremely proud ally, and I just wanted to commend the LGBTQ plus coalition in Chelsea, who organized the event along with the city and the Chamber of Commerce. There were vendors, there was entertainment, and the weather just made the event more festive and exciting. But we had a lovely, lovely time. And Representative Garcia actually made a donation, so there was even an after party, which was very nice. So people came together and were able to eat and drink together at a Chelsea business, the Brown Jug, and they hosted us very well. And the whole event was just a beautiful, beautiful afternoon and evening. So again, thanks to everyone who made it possible, because love lives in Chelsea.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Counselor Robinson, my apologies.
No problem. I just want to thank Star Chung and Jennifer Hassel and Matt Frank for all the work that they did put in to make Saturday a successful program for the city of Chelsea. And I just publicly want to thank them for all the work that they put in to make this happen in the city of Chelsea.
Thank you, Counselor. I echo the same sentiments and would just reiterate what some of my colleagues have said. I stand as a strong supporter of the LGBTQ community, and on a daily basis come across many constituents, whether they are youth or young adults or older folks who have stories of challenges in the past, but also stories of challenges in the present. And so there's definitely work that we can do to support this community, to ensure that this community in Chelsea is a comfortable and open community for all. All right, moving on to public hearing. Anyone here for our public hearing?
The first public hearing is on the proposed fiscal year 2026 budget.
You can state your name if you're here for the public hearing. No? For proposed fiscal year 2026 budget? No?
Madam President, just in case the audience doesn't know, can we just explain the difference between the public hearing and the public comment, just so people understand what we're...
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so for our public hearings, it's usually based on any of the motions, orders that have been brought upon our council meetings. It's an opportunity for the public to give their input, whether they support, disagree, or have strong opinions about any of the topics that we discuss. And it's usually prior to a vote so that our public has an opportunity to share their opinions with us councilors here. Public speaking is usually open to anything, whether it's tied to an agenda item, tied to a vote that's coming up, or just information that councilors here should be aware of things that are happening in the community. It's more of a general forum for councilors to receive feedback and information from the public. Okay. So we also have another item under public hearing.
Our next public hearing is for the proposed easement and eminent domain taking of 145 Market Street and 359 Beecham Street.
Anyone here for that item? No? Okay, so that closes our public hearing portion for tonight. Moving on to public speaking. All right, seeing no takers. Moving on to, oh, yes. Okay, all right, public speaking. Please share your name, your address.
Hi, my name's Eddie Gaffney. I live at 100 Commandant's Way. I've been living in Chelsea for about 20 years now. I just want to go on record again saying I'm against having a seafood processing plant next to the beautiful park that Chelsea has, Mary O'Malley Park. I just don't think it's the right location for that. So I kind of did a little due diligence, and I believe I may have found an example of a company that would be a perfect fit for that location. And I got a couple of handouts. If you got, I'm gonna pass it around. It's a company called Kind Designs. It's a brand new 3D printed concrete seawall company, and they're looking to expand from Miami. They're a brand new company. Mark Cuban backed them, and their product is faster to make, it's cost effective, it's cheaper to make because you're using less concrete, and the way the design is, it reduces the wave impact by 50%. And the beautiful thing about their design and the creativity that they came up with is the design also allows for filter feeders and organisms to really attach to the seawall and clean the water in a much faster way than you would just have a regular seawall. I think it's something that would just be really, a great company to have in Chelsea. I spoke with people in Everett, the planning manager over there, and they agreed. Like this is a company that needs to be in the, Boston area. So that's all I want to share with you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else here for public speaking? All right, moving on to approval of the minutes.
We have approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of the City Council dated May 19th, 2025.
Accept and file the minutes under suspension if there are no objections.
Seeing none, thank you, Counselor. Moving on to communications from the city manager.
Our first communication received from the city manager requesting council approval for department to pay prior year expense. Dear councilors, I am writing to request approval for the city clerk department to make payments on prior year expenses using their FY25 budget. The department has been working with the Chelsea Record to clean up prior year balances. There was some confusion given a large number of advertisements that are sent out and posted by the city clerk's office to the Chelsea Record. The Chelsea Record initially sent the invoices to another city department.
Madam President, move to waive the rest of the reading, accept and file under communication if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections, Counselor. Moving on.
Next communication received from the city manager regarding the fiscal year 26 PEG Access and Community Preservation Act budgets. Dear councilors, I'm writing to request approval of both the PEG Access budget and the Community Preservation Act budget for fiscal year 2026. Pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 53F 3-4, all Comcast payments required by the 10-year Comcast renewal license are paid into our PEG Access and Cable-related fund. In order to expend monies from this fund on behalf of the three entities that rely upon this source, Chelsea Community Cable Television, the school department, and the City Council must approve an annual budget for each of these entities. I am writing now to request approval of the FY26 budgets for each of these three entities. The requested budgets are Chelsea Community Cable Television in the amount of $229,736, Chelsea School Department in the amount of $85,000, and the city, through the city manager's office, in the amount of $130,000. Details on these budgets are attached. The city will utilize its funding for translation services, part-time communication service, internet and telecommunications access to City Hall service, and to support the MAPC City Chelsea Housing Authority Prattville Internet Access Project and improvements to the city's fiber network. The school will utilize these funds for full-time communication services. Each year, the City Council must also approve the Community Preservation Act budget as adopted by the Chelsea Community Preservation Committee. The FY26 budget proposed by the Community Preservation Act Committee is attached. As you see, the proposed CPA FY26 budget reserves for appropriation 95% of estimated revenue, with 10% allocated to 2 of the 3 statutory reserve accounts, 20% allocated to the remaining statutory reserve, and the remaining 55% allocated to the budgeted reserve account. All of these accounts are subject to future appropriation by the City Council based upon recommendations from the Community Preservation Committee to fund certain projects.
Madam President, move to waive the rest of the reading, accept and file under communication if there are no objections.
Seeing none, thank you, Counselor. Moving on.
Next communication received from the city manager requesting council approval of intermunicipal agreement for the North Suffolk Public Health Collaborative. Dear councilors, I'm writing to request a authorization on an updated intermunicipal agreement between the City of Chelsea, City of Revere, and the Town of Winthrop as part of the North Suffolk Public Health Collaborative. The initial North Suffolk Public Health Collaborative, IMA, was signed in 2016. The collaboration initiated...
If I can ask to waive the reading, I'd like to make a motion to postpone this vote. I'd like to kind of speak on it a little bit.
There's something coming up under new business. You have the floor, Counselor.
Okay, I think at the budget hearing, I did raise this issue, was in regards to the $3 million, and it's actually money that comes from Mass General that supports the MAPC program. And the MACP program, out of the $3 million, 10% each year will go to MAPC. I want to know what is the money breakdown to the other communities. And I would move to postpone this vote until such time that the other communities sign on before we sign on as Chelsea. And that's my stance in regards to where I'm at.
Okay. Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Next communication received from the city manager requesting council approval for intermunicipal agreement between the cities of Chelsea, Arlington, Everett, and Malden to combat extreme heat. Dear councilors, I am writing to you with a request for the necessary council action to formally accept the intermunicipal agreement between the cities of Chelsea, Arlington, Everett, and Malden for the Wicked Cool Mystic Super Fresco Mistico, implementing resident-led outdoor cooling solutions in environmental justice neighborhoods in Everett, Malden, Chelsea, and Arlington project. You may recall that the city received funding for this project through the Municipal Vulnerability Program Action Grant in FY 25-26. The goal of this project is to implement community-led designs of cooling strategies in environmental justice communities. The first round of this project, Wicked Hot Mystic, was deeply focused on engaging residents about where they felt hottest. Our residents shared they wanted more cooling features at bus stops. The current phase of the project is funded by an MVP action grant for $687,000 to pursue a 2-year regional project to design and implement cooling strategies. Proposed cooling features include water fountains, misters, and shade sails. Having cooling features at bus stops is crucial for several reasons, such as providing comfort and safety for riders, especially during heat waves, and encouraging more public transportation use. Cooling features can help mitigate heat stress, reduce the risk of heat stroke, and make waiting for the bus a more pleasant experience. Once completed, these cooling features will offer opportunities for heat resilience and respite from rising temperatures, goals that are in alignment with the city's 2018 MVP Community Resilience Building Summary of Findings. The city will complete its design and construction of cooling
Madam
features.
President, move to waive the rest of the reading, accept and file under communication if there are no objections. I'd like to speak on it real quick.
Seeing no objections, you have the floor, Councilor.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this hopefully moving forward. It's really exciting to have seen a number of the bus stops go up along Broadway and see the covered areas for people to wait in. This seems like a pretty exciting thing to offer to folks. It's going to get really hot over the summer. And honestly, a misting fan in front of your face is one of the best things that you can do to feel cool. So it's exciting for our residents. I'm sure our children are going to love it as well. So just really excited for this to move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. All right, moving on.
Next communication received from the city manager regarding a lease with Enterprise Holdings LLC. Dear councilors, I am writing to request the City Council's approval of a new lease with Enterprise Rent-A-Car Company of Boston, LLC, for 324 Marginal Street, based on the terms outlined in the attached request for proposal. This lease agreement will effectively extend our lease with Enterprise to the end of fiscal year 2045 on terms that are advantageous to the city. The proposed order of approval, the request for proposal, and the original lease agreement are enclosed for your review. In 2014, following the issuance of a December 2013 RFP for the use of city-owned property at 324 Marginal Street, the city executed a lease with Enterprise. This lease was structured as a 10-year agreement consisting of a 5-year initial term with an option for Enterprise to extend for an additional 5. Enterprise utilizes the site for rental vehicle operations and in return provides excise tax payments to the city. The parcel is located adjacent to Highland Park on the non-water side of Marginal Street. The original RFP allowed for a lease term of up to 20 years. The city in 2017 negotiated with Enterprise to extend the lease to the full 20-year term under mutually beneficial conditions until 2034. Recently, Enterprise has expressed a desire to expand its operations at the site by adding truck rentals, while the city seeks to secure an increase in excise tax revenue over a longer period of time. To achieve both objectives, we propose terminating the current lease and executing a new 20-year lease that will extend through fiscal year 2045. The new lease will ensure increased guaranteed excise tax payments from Enterprise. In return, if Enterprise's excise tax payments exceed the guaranteed amount, the city will reimburse Enterprise from the excess funds for the cost of its site improvements. Upon approval, the city will see financial benefits beginning in FY26. Revenue projections will reflect the increase in excise collections outlined in the new guaranteed schedule, while budgeting expenditures will account for the additional reimbursements stipulated in the lease.
Madam President, move to accept and file under communication if there are no objections and waive the rest of the reading.
Seeing no objections, thank you, Councilor. Moving on to the next item.
Next communication received regarding requesting funding for structural deficits. Dear councilors, earlier this spring, the city's finance department met with representatives from the Division of Local Services and the Department of Revenue. DLS provided a presentation that outlined resources they provide, as well as historical information on Chelsea's submissions of reports and tax rate recaps. We closed the meeting with a roadmap for the FY26 tax rate submission. In this meeting, DLS also noted that Chelsea has a listing of accounts known as structural deficits that they would like us to provide for. These accounts have deficit balances and have been inactive for at least 2 fiscal years. Our auditing department has reviewed these accounts and have confirmed their status, noting that many have been inactive for at least 5 years or more. I am requesting the use of free cash to close out these deficit balances. This will allow us to clean up and close out these inactive accounts. Council order is attached for this transfer request. Thank you for your ongoing support.
Thank you, Clerk. Councillor Tashi.
Madam President, I move to accept and file the communication of the city manager if there are no objections. Also, I believe there's a necessity for a conversation just to know exactly what happened and why these deficits exist now. Who didn't do their job, or what happened, or how did this come to be? And if it's just error, then that's understandable as well. It always happens. But yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, moving on to the next item.
Our final communication received from the city manager requesting approval of appointments to boards and commissions. Dear councilors, pursuant to Section 4-2 of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, I'm writing to recommend the following individuals to boards and commissions in the city. Appointment to the Cultural Council, Ms. Lily Dar of Chelsea. And reappointment to the Board of Library Trustees, Ms. Grace Lee of Chelsea. I respectfully request your approval of these appointments. I have attached resumes for the new appointee.
Madam President, I move this to second reading.
Seeing no objections, thank you, Councillor.
Madam President,
Yes.
I know that we have a late order that is also an appointment to a board and commission. I'd like to move that out of order if that is possible and there are no objections, just to get it all done now.
Seeing none, thank you, Councillor.
It was up for debate now, anyway. It's a late communication. It was up now, anyway. Communication received late. If there are no objections to receiving the late communication.
Seeing no objections, Clerk.
Communication from the city manager requesting approval of appointment to planning board. Dear councilors, pursuant to Section 4-2 of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, I'm writing to recommend the following individual to a board or commission in the city. For reappointment to the planning board, Ms. Jordana Mather of Chelsea for a new 3-year term. I respectfully request your approval of this appointment. I have attached the resume for the appointee.
Move to a second reading.
Madam President, just a couple of words. I know Ms. Jordana myself. She's an amazing person. Definitely reach out to her, get to know her. I think you would definitely have a good time.
Thank you, Councillor. All right, moving on to communications and petitions to the council.
First communication received to the City Council comes from the Community Preservation Committee. Dear councilors, the Chelsea Community Preservation Committee is pleased to send to the City Council 5 recommendations for grants from the Community Preservation Fund. At the 2016 general election, 66.5% of Chelsea voters voted to adopt the provisions of the Community Preservation Act and impose a 1.5% surcharge on residential and commercial properties with exemptions for low and moderate income homeowners, as well as exemption on the first $100,000 of property value. On December 19th, 2016, the Chelsea City Council voted to establish by ordinance the Community Preservation Committee to make recommendations on expenditures authorized by the Community Preservation Act. The recommendations of the committee are sent to the council, where the amounts can be affirmed, rejected, or lowered. Funding recommendations may not be...
Madam President, can we waive the reading? I would just like, for the record, to read out for folks the descriptions of the projects on page 4.
Seeing no objections, let's proceed. Yeah.
The 5 projects recommended for grant funding and the amounts are as follows. For La Collaborativa Emergency Housing Voucher Program in the amount of $100,000. For Polonia Park in the amount of $200,000. The Quinn Residences in the amount of $200,000. The Neighborhood Developers Top-Off Rental Assistance Program in the amount of $100,000. And for Walnut Street Synagogue in the amount of $197,433.
Thank you, Clerk. Councillor?
Can I just speak on it real quick?
Absolutely, you have the floor.
Yeah, I just want to just really quickly mention that, this is really going to support our residents in terms of, people who need rental assistance and also to support environmental site assessments at Polonia Park. So I just think it's really, it is a good thing that we are doing by spending these funds on supporting some of our neediest residents. So just excited to see it move forward.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Recupero.
yes, this is a great thing we're doing, but I would like also the city to go in and advertise more on these grants, who gets these grants. Because this is the taxpayers' money, the CPA that the taxpayers pay, and maybe more people should go in and apply for these grants. I believe that this should be open to more people, but the city, I don't know how the city advertises. 90% of the people don't even know that these grants exist. So I would like to have this put out to the open where more people can apply for these grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Seeing no other comments, moving on.
Final communication received to the City Council comes from the Planner and Land Use Administrator on behalf of the Planning Board. Dear Councilor De Jesus, at a duly posted regular meeting of the Planning Board held Tuesday, May 27, 2025, the Board voted unanimously to recommend that the City Council adopt the off-street parking amendment as proposed.
Is there a motion?
Move to accept and file under communication if there are no objections.
Seeing no objections.
This is not the item itself, right? It's coming later. Okay.
Moving on to committee reports.
First committee report received comes from Councilor Jimenez Rivera from the meeting of the City Manager Evaluation Committee held May 14, 2025.
Counselor Jimenez.
Move to accept and file, and I'd just like to give a quick update.
Yes, you have the floor, Counselor.
Wonderful. So this was the second half of the meeting that the evaluation committee held to discuss the city manager's performance over the past year and a half. We did essentially the back half of the 12 categories that we are evaluating him on, 10 categories if I remember correctly. Since then, I have drafted an initial draft of the report. That report has been shared with the councilors and with the clerk, and it will be discussed at our upcoming meeting, which we are tentatively going to schedule on June 10th of next, so that's next Tuesday of next week, so that we can then give final ratings for each of the categories and send that report to the full council. I encourage all the councilors to attend, even though it is a meeting of the subcommittee. We would love to have everyone's input. And then from there, the plan is to have that final report be voted on at the council's last meeting of the month on the 23rd before we go on our summer break. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Our next item is a committee report received from the Council President from the meeting of the Subcommittee on Conference held May 14th, 2025.
This was a televised meeting. This was our budget hearings. Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to accept and file under Communications Committee reports.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Next committee report received comes from Councilor Taylor from the meeting of the Subcommittee on Ways and Means held May 19th, 2025.
Counselor Taylor.
Yeah, accept and file the committee report, and I'd just like to briefly speak on it and give a summary.
You have the floor, Counselor.
So this was the first of two Ways and Means Committee meetings that we had. The first item was a request for the City Council to approve the collective bargaining agreement negotiated between the city and the Teamsters Local 25 representing DPW workers. The second order was to authorize the department to pay a prior year expense of $32,931.97 to pay for the TND workforce development program that they're contracted to manage. The third item was a resolution in support of the site readiness grant for the Forbes site redevelopment. And the last one was the approval of a 5-year contract with Daigle Electric for a quiet zone construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Brown.
I want to thank the committee. Todd does a unique job in the way he handled things. We had this before at 2 meetings ago, and he wanted to bring it to subcommittee and go over the stuff, and I appreciate his work and his diligently making sure that he gets a chance in his committee to look at all these things. But these two here, items that's on here that was read in today is very good for the city. I would like to thank the city manager on the work, what he did with working with the unions to get this job done for our DPW workers here. It's a great win for the city, something that we've been trying to get done, and we finally got done, and I'd like to see it get passed tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, moving on. Counselor?
Our final committee report is also from Councilor Taylor from the meeting of the Subcommittee on Ways and Means held May 27, 2025.
Accept and file the committee report under suspension if there's no objections, and I'd like to just give a brief summary.
Absolutely. You have the floor, Counselor.
Thank you. There were several items under review in this Ways and Means Committee meeting. The first item was an authorization for department to pay prior year expenses, emergency management in the amount of $2,259.75 to Verizon for phone lines. The second item was a $100,000 free cash to Housing and Community Development Contract Service Account for the Downtown Initiative. The third item was appropriation for free cash to cover salary deficits in various department salary accounts. Questions regarding appropriations to emergency management. Overtime costs were necessary in order to maintain minimum staffing levels required by state law. The next item was $14,901 from salary reserve to the Legislative Department regular salary account to cover step increases and COLA for both employees. The next one was appropriation from free cash to cover inadequate funding in various departments, operating accounts, questions regarding DPW contract services, which cover private snow plows, and DPW salt account, which is typically underfunded yearly and replenished with free cash if needed. The next one was the reauthorization of 6 revolving funds that departments are able to utilize to deposit fees received. Accounts require yearly reauthorization. And the last one was the reauthorization of the non-resident student tuition revolving fund. The school department charges other school districts a fee to use Chelsea Public Schools special education programs. That's the conclusion of my summary. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, moving on to second readings.
First item under second readings, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that pursuant to Section 4-3L of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, the Chelsea City Council hereby approves the cost items set forth in the collective bargaining agreement negotiated with Teamsters Local 25, International Brotherhood of Teamsters, covering DPW employees, memorialized in the memorandum of agreement for the period July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2028, dated April 22nd, 2025.
Counselor Taylor.
Move to Ways and Means. Pardon me.
This
Move to a
already-
roll call vote. Pardon me. Move to a roll call vote. We've already had it.
Moving to a roll call vote. Seeing no objections.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Sandigan.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
All 11 members voting in favor, 0 opposed. Order adopted.
Madam President, can I
Thank you,
speak on this real quick?
Counselor Jimenez.
Yeah, I believe what was mentioned at the last meeting where we had this order is that this was the last contract that the city had outstanding. I just want to, is that correct? I just want to give us a quick shout out to all the work that has been done in the city and, you know, in finishing up all of our contracts. We don't have a single contract outstanding, so thank you everyone for all of your hard work.
Yes. All right. Moving on to the next item.
Next item under second readings, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 64, Budget Management Procedures, whereby costs incurred in FY24 were not paid and are owed to vendors, and to meet this obligation, funds are required from the current year FY25 budget as noted. The Chelsea City Council authorizes the following expenditures to satisfy unpaid balances that total $32,931.97 from prior year as follows. 2 instances from Housing and Community Development, 2 TND for Workforce Development Program, 1 in the amount of $15,803.50, and 1 in the amount of $17,128.47.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there a motion?
Move to a roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Recupero,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor,
Yes.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Tesh,
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Santigat,
Yes.
Councilor Vega,
Yes.
Councilor Brown,
Yes.
and Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
All 11 members in favor, 0 opposed. Order adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Whereas land located at 1C Forbes Street has been deemed a site suitable for the Site Readiness Program administered by the Massachusetts Development Finance Agency, or Mass Development. And whereas the City of Chelsea, a Massachusetts municipal corporation having a mailing address at 500 Broadway, Chelsea, Massachusetts, has been awarded a Site Readiness Recoverable Grant in the amount of $150,000 from Mass Development for readiness assistance related to the site. And whereas the recoverable grant will be formalized through a grant agreement entered into by and between the municipality and Mass Development and substantially the form attached hereto. And whereas the municipality has agreed to repay the recoverable grant, now therefore be it ordered that the Chelsea City Council hereby votes as follows. That if the site or any portion thereof is sold, conveyed, gifted, demised, ground, leased, or otherwise transferred or refinanced, and as a result of said transaction, the recipient receives funds that exceed the aggregate amount necessary for repayment of existing monetary liens, mortgage loans, and other debt on the project, and all the costs incurred by them in the acquisition, development, ownership, and sale of the site, or the portion of the site transferred, then recipient shall reimburse Mass Development the full amount of the net proceeds up to the amount of the recoverable grant that has been dispersed and has not already been repaid to Mass Development.
Thank you, Clerk. Is there a motion?
Move to a roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Recupero,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor,
Yes.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Tesher,
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Santigat,
Yes.
Councilor Vega,
Yes.
Councilor Brown,
Yes.
and Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
All members voting in favor, 0 opposed. Order adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next item on the agenda, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Ordered that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, Section 12, the Chelsea City Council hereby approves a 5-year contract with the Dago Electrical Corporation for quiet zone construction for the Chelsea Public Works Department.
Is there a motion on the ground?
Move to a roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Recupero,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor,
Yes.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Tesher,
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Santigat,
Yes.
Councilor Vega,
Yes.
Councilor Brown,
Yes.
and Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
All 11 members in favor and 0 opposed. Order adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next item under second readings, we have an order introduced by the Council President being read for the second time regarding the fiscal year 2026 budget. Ordered that the following sums as classified and designated with respect to each department or undertaking as salaries, operations and maintenance, and capital are hereby appropriated in the general fund of the City of Chelsea as listed below and as summarized. Salaries in the amount of $62,257,501. Operations and maintenance in the amount of $198,578,727, and capital in the amount of $865,000, totaling $261,701,228.
Madam President, I move for a roll call vote, but before doing the vote, if I could say a couple of words.
Absolutely. You have the floor, Councilor.
Madam President, I have not added any amendments. I have not requested any changes to the budget. At this moment, the City Council is only allowed to decrease the amount that the city manager proposes. That is the reason why no amendments that I have can be added. I want to say the impact that the Trump administration has had in our community has been heavy. There's been a lot of community distrust that has been built because of people's misconceptions that our Department of Police is cooperating with ICE. Our inability to protect our people is being deteriorated by the day, in addition to some severe acts of violence that have happened in our city in the past couple of months. this is when we need stronger presence. This is when we need to increase the safety of our constituency here in the city of Chelsea. The population is in the rise for the city of Chelsea, and we cannot continue to do the work we have always done best if we keep using, the same power we've been using in the past. The same, the same coverage of police is not going to be the same when you increase the amount of people when the density is high. That's the reason why in the coming meeting, I will be requesting that the city manager do a camera audit to ensure that 100% of the city is covered. I have received multiple complaints from constituents that have said, hey, something happened to me, but all of a sudden there was no camera, and now there's no evidence that this happened to me. Whether it's a car crash, whether somebody got beat up, I don't think Chelsea should be a city where you cannot have evidence of a crime happening to you in the streets. Second, I will also request that the police have a stronger presence in our streets. We need to increase it to make sure that people are deterred from committing crimes in our city. Now more than ever, because we know what happens when somebody gets charged with a crime. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Seeing no other comments. Councilor Brown, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam President. Again, I took time and liberty to spend a lot of time with this budget. We had a lot of good hearings. Everyone came up. I want to first thank all the department heads for coming up with budgets that really fit what we need in the city of Chelsea to work to continue to offer the service and the protection that we have here. So I really want to give a big shout out to not only the department heads, but also for those that work in nonprofits and also those that volunteers on the board. They've made our city safer and work for no fee at all. So I really want to support those volunteers who helped out. This budget supports a lot. I mean, it's a modest little increase in it, but it supports a lot of the day-to-day operation. And some of it, I believe my counselor was just saying, we talk about public safety, we talk about education, we talk about the most important thing that sometimes we forget is the health and human services that we need to continue to work in our schools with our students, with the mental health, and also just the stigma that's going on right now under the new administration. So I believe that, having the conversations with the department heads, with the city council members here as we are engaged in the dialogue, and the city manager, this budget covers the things that we need to do, the mandatory things that we do. A lot of folks don't understand that we still have to pay insurance, we have to pay the retirees, we have to pay contract obligations that we have. So those things also are covered in this budget. It always sounds like a great number, but it really costs to run an organization. The city of Chelsea it's a small city, but it's a big organization to have a lot of work to be done here, to have a lot over the last few years have went into the health and human services where we've provided so much money for residents. We had the ARPA money, so we provided so much money. But we still must do better here in the city of Chelsea. But again, I'll be voting for this year budget this year. The city manager, kudos to you for your work. I know you've been up late hours and getting a lot of flack, but it's all going into a great product to make sure that we keep our residents safe, to make sure that we keep our teachers to be able to educate and have a decent job and a decent salary, and also some of the monies that we've also given to the public to make sure they stay in their homes. Over the years, we've given a lot of money to help people stay in their places. Some of that stuff is dwindling, but as of right now, we've stayed ahead of the game, and I think that's why we're one of the communities that will be heading to Denver for an all-American city because of the work we do, because of the engagement, because of the opportunities we go out to try to enhance job and economic development and community development. So I want to thank everyone that played a big job, and especially the council. This was great. 4 nights we had up here with the council. Usually we're, like the councilor said, we're cutting everything and making, remarks about cutting. This year we listened, We watch the numbers. We watch the fire department. We watch the police department. We've seen the increases, but we see the work that's being brought back to our city. So I want to thank everyone for a great job. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Taylor.
Thank you, Madam President. I wanted to just say a few words about this budget. I will be supporting this budget. I want to, even though this is an increase over last year, in the past I have made the argument that at the municipal level we have a job to do and we should spend the money that's required to actually do the job. The increases that we saw in this budget were primarily for public safety, which we need. Counselor spoke about it. I don't think he's going to get any argument from anyone about the increased need of public safety. The other thing was an increase in salaries and an increase in different things where costs are going up, like insurance. So health insurance, I think, went up by 17% this year. We have absolutely no control over that. It's a cost of doing business. And so I have no problem with increasing the budget for that. I was only tempted to make one cut to this budget, but decided against it because I have always said that I have faith in the department heads, and I would wait and see what department heads do with this budget and how they run how they appropriate those funds or ask for those funds to be appropriated. So I think in general, there were some salary increases that were a little high, but those were supposedly to make up for the flatline years of COVID where people did not get a rate increase. I'm all for fairness, so I have no problem with those increases. Next year may be a different story, we'll see, or next contract. But kudos to the city manager and the deputy city manager for putting together a budget that I believe was in bounds. It was somewhat conservative on a lot of things, and best of all, we have a remainder of free cash going into next year that was unspent. I believe it was $12 million. Am I correct in that? $12 million left over. So for those of you who want to see more cutting, we have a surplus, and we're going to need it. So let's keep this city on a fiscally conservative track where we end up with this money on the revenue side that's more than paying for this budget. And I would say that the extended lease to Enterprise, which we'll be voting on later on, is a very welcome thing in ensuring the long-term financial stability of this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Sanigate, and then Counselor Recupero, so we can go in this direction. Counselor, you okay with that? All right, and then Counselor Jimenez.
Hi, I just wanted to add that I was extremely impressed by what the goals were for each department and the achievement of last year's goals and their goals for the upcoming fiscal year. And I really felt like we were seriously getting our money's worth from both staff and initiatives.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Recupero, and then Counselor Jimenez.
Thank you to the city manager and everybody for the budget, and thank to all of us for going to approve this budget. This city's a little city, but it has a big heart. It takes care of the people that it had that live here, all of them. The councilors and the city manager and the staff, we all try to do the best we can for the people that are here. If you count the size of our city and the population that we have, we give more for the people that live in our city than most cities. So this city here is a city with a heart and a city that cares about the people that are here. So no matter how much money we have in the budget or how much money we have to spend, this city always finds a way to spend the money to help the constituents of our city. And it's a great thing. Like they say, there's never enough money to be safe. And I believe this city is pretty safe considering the size that it has. So we can't say it's perfect. No city is perfect. But our city is great, and whatever we do and the city manager does, it does for the benefit of the people that live here. So this is a fair and a good budget for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Jimenez.
All right. I just want to really quickly highlight, last year a lot of the conversations that we had were about the significant bump in the growth in spending for the city manager's office. We had a lot of questions, right? Is it worth it for us to invest in these positions? And I've been really excited that we've really heard no conversation about that this year, which means that those investments that we made into these people, right, it's 3 people, right? It is Bernabe, it is Michael, it is Devin, right? It's 3 people that have been really spending their time in our city, investing in the people in our city, making sure that every system in our city is running better, which means that we, the city, are better off, the residents of our community are better off. So I just want to give a shout out to the city manager for that, and in making sure that, the investments that we're making, we don't still have questions about them. We are seeing them pay off. So I'm hopeful that the investments that we're making this year are going to pay off in the future. So I'll be very happy to support this budget as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Seeing no other comments, I'll just share real briefly. I echo the sentiments of my fellow councilors. Huge fan of all the work that our city manager and his department has done for our community and for operations here in general. And the outcomes speak for themselves when we see the numbers. I'll also highlight, our directors. This work cannot be done without them. Steve, Charlie, Kate, whenever we reach out and we have constituents asking questions, concerns, you guys respond and you go above and beyond to meet those needs. I think it's really important that we also recognize that this body right here that we have of counselors, those who come in with the experience and the backgrounds and expertise of different areas, whether it's the education field, whether you're a business owner, whether it's a parent who's juggling multiple jobs and still trying to make sure they're meeting the needs as a counselor, or even a counselor who can relate to the immigrant struggles and the immigrant journey. I myself, transitioning from tenant to small homeowner here in the city, being able to relate to those in my community that are facing those struggles as a tenant or struggles as a small homeowner. I think that's what makes this council special, and I think that's the secret key to the success of this community, for us to be able to share in conversation those experiences and make sure that those points of view are all laid out at the table while we're making decisions and understanding the struggle from different points of view. And I'm just so grateful for each and every one of you, whether we have disagreed throughout the years or have been on the same side. I think that's the magic. That's the magic that happens in this chamber. That's the magic that happens in our subcommittee meetings, and that's what our city needs, diversity in these seats. And so thank you to each and every one of you for all that you have invested, for all the struggles and sacrifices to make these meetings, either community meetings, door knocking, assisting fire victims, showing up when our families need it most. Eternally grateful for all of you. All right, let's proceed.
Roll call vote was requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Recupero,
Yes.
Councilor Taylor,
Yes.
Councilor Robinson,
Yes.
Councilor Tesh,
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago,
Yes.
Councilor Vega,
Yes.
Councilor Brown,
Yes.
and Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 members in favor, 0 opposed. FY26 budget general fund appropriations are adopted.
It's a big move.
All right, moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by the council president being read for the second time. Order that the following sums designated as appropriations are hereby appropriated in the sewer enterprise fund of the city of Chelsea as follows. Salaries in the amount of $795,409. Operations and maintenance expense in the amount of $12,083,775. And capital appropriations in the amount of $1,985,043 for a total of $14,864,227.
Thank you, clerk. Is there a motion on the
Make
floor?
a motion for roll call vote on the adoption?
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero. Yes. Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia. Absent. Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
10 members voting in favor, 0 opposed and 1 absent. FY26 Sewer Enterprise Fund has been adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by the council president being read for the second time. Order that the following sum designated as appropriations are hereby appropriated in the Water Enterprise Fund of the city of Chelsea as follows. Salaries in the amount of $795,409. Operations and maintenance in the amount of $7,862,797. And capital in the amount of $1,787,652 for a total of $10,445,858.
Thank you, clerk. Is there a motion?
Motion to
roll-
adopt. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Chairman, you.
Move to a roll call vote on the adoption.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero. Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 members in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 absent. FY26 Water Enterprise has been adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by the council president being read for the second time. Ordered that the city appropriations and assessments in the general fund are to be financed in part by use of certified free cash of the city of Chelsea as follows. Free cash in the amount of $1,710,663.
Move to adopt under roll call vote?
Seeing no objections, moving to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero. Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 members in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Free cash appropriation adopted. That concludes your FY26 budget orders.
Awesome. Thank you, clerk. Moving right along.
Next, under second readings, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 64, Budget Management Procedures, whereby costs incurred in FY24 were not paid and are owed to vendors, and to meet this obligation, funds are required from current year FY25 budget as noted. The Chelsea City Council authorizes the following expenditure to satisfy an unpaid balance that totals $2,259.75 from prior year as follows. For 911 in the amount of $2,259.75 to Verizon for a cost of phone lines.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to a roll call vote on the adoption.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order has been adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Moving on.
Order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that the Chelsea City Council authorizes the appropriation of $100,000 in free cash to FY25 Housing and Community Development Contract Services Expense Account for Downtown Initiative, which includes local organizations and small business support, civic engagement, and public art and events.
Is there a motion on the floor?
Move to a roll call vote on the adoption.
Moving to a roll call vote, seeing no objections.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order has been adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that the Chelsea City Council authorizes appropriations from free cash to the following salary accounts. $2,757 to legislative regular salary account, $500 to FY25 payroll
Madam
longevity.
President, can we waive the rest of the reading and move to a roll call vote? If there are no objections.
Seeing no objections, Counselor, let's move on to a roll call vote.
Madam President, I would just ask that we read the total.
Total amounts.
The amounts
Yes.
left off. 22,147 personnel temporary account, 6,138 city clerk regular salary, 8,697 to city clerk overtime, 11,242 to city clerk poll workers, $900 city clerk unused sick leave bonus, 641 permitting and land use regular salary, $199,426 emergency management overtime, 11,563 emergency management holiday account, 3,493 parking department regular salary, $826 parking department overtime, 54,281 DPW snow overtime, 20,290 HHS admin regular salary, 1,650 HHS admin longevity, 4,600 health officer regular salary, 28,300 library regular salary, $900 library longevity, and 43,000 employee benefit Medicare account.
Thank you, Clerk.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order has been adopted.
Moving on to the next item.
An order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Ordered that the Chelsea City Council authorizes the transfer of $14,901 from salary reserve to fiscal year 2025 legislative regular salary account.
Move to a roll call vote on the adoption.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 members in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Order introduced by Councilor Taylor being read for the second time. Order that the City Council authorizes appropriations from free cash to the following operating accounts. $20,000 Law Department Legal Services for Forbes Bankruptcy Counsel. $10,000 Personnel Department Medical Services. $61,106 MIS Department Contract Services for Cisco Firewall and Ubiquity Extenders. $8,000.
Waive the rest of the reading and just read the amount.
Seeing no objections, let's proceed with just the amounts. So, clarification, you're
Yeah.
requesting that we waive the reading and just read amounts? Okay. Moving
It's-
forward.
All right. I object. Just read the thing. It takes a second longer.
Okay.
$8,000 to city clerk postage, $10,385 city clerk voting machines for voting booth upgrade, $10,000 fire department software license for record management software, $169,531 DPW snow contract service, $156,392 snow department salt account, $10,000 DPW buildings and grounds building maintenance fencing Boston Park, $15,300 DPW buildings and grounds for real estate tax.
Thank you, clerk. Is there a motion?
Move to roll call vote on the adoption, please.
Moving to a roll call vote?
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher. Yes. Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santagit.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order has been adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Order introduced by Councilor Taylor, authorizing revolving funds. Whereas pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53E 1-2, the city has adopted a new ordinance, Section 2-200, authorizing 6 revolving funds. And whereas each year the ordinance requires City Council to vote annually on or before July 1st on the amount that may be spent from each of these revolving funds during the upcoming fiscal year. Now therefore be it
Madam
ordered.
President, I'd ask to waive the rest of the reading and just read the amounts and what they're going to. That's it.
Seeing no objections, moving on with the request.
Chelsea Community Schools, fund not to exceed $100,000. Elder Affairs, a fund not to exceed $1,000. Emergency Management Hazardous Material Fund, amount not to exceed $30,000. Vacant unsafe buildings and nuisance properties, fund shall not exceed $30,000. Tax Title Foreclosure Properties Fund, fund shall not exceed $100,000. And Chelsea Public Library Revolving Fund, fund shall not exceed $20,000.
Thank you, clerk.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santagit. Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
All 11 members in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Order introduced by Councilor Taylor, authorizing revolving fund for school department non-resident student tuition revolving fund. Whereas Section 71F of Chapter 71 of General Laws authorizes city and towns to establish and accept departmental revolving funds subject to certain budgetary restrictions. And whereas the City of Chelsea School Committee adopted and implemented a tuition fee to be charged to other public school systems wishing to use Chelsea Public Schools special education programs, and further voted to establish a non-resident student tuition revolving fund for the receipt and disbursement of said tuition and fees collected by Chelsea Public Schools. Now therefore be it ordered that the Chelsea City Council hereby authorizes the establishment of a revolving fund for the school department in accordance with provisions of Section 71F of Chapter 71 of General Laws, subject to following conditions. Only proceeds received by the city pursuant to provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 71, Section 71F, shall be credited to the fund. Aggregate expenditures shall not exceed $250,000 in a single fiscal year. All funds received after the fund has reached a balance of $250,000 shall be credited to general fund. Expenditures shall be authorized by school committee or their designee and shall not exceed the available balance of the fund. Such
Madam
fund-
President, can we waive the rest of the reading and move to a roll call vote if there are no objections?
Seeing no objections, let's move on to a roll call vote.
Roll call vote has been requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santagit.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order is adopted.
Thank you, clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by the Council President being read for the second time. Whereas by Section 30 of Chapter 43, Section 14 of Chapter 40, and Chapter 79 of Mass General Law, all as amended, it is provided that the Chelsea City Council may take a temporary easement in and to, in the name of the city, for any municipal purpose, land within the limits of the city not already appropriated for public use. And whereas the city administration has identified and recommended a parcel in Chelsea, which is necessary to be temporarily acquired by easement in order to promote and effectuate the city's protection from flooding, for long-term economic development, and for affordable and market rate housing goals. And whereas the taking
Madam
of...
President, I have a process question. Can we take these next three orders together? We cannot. I see the clerk not shaking his head. So these next three orders are for the easement and taking of the properties at 145 Market Street and 359 Beecham Street. They are all very extensive orders, so I would like to start off by asking to waive the rest of the reading for this first one and take a roll call vote on it.
Seeing,
This one being the order for the easement itself.
seeing no objection, Counselor Robinson.
No, each one needs to be voted on separately.
Yes.
Yes, yep, but seeing no objection to waiving the reading. Okay, all right, let's move on to... Yes, thank you, Counselor. So these
Hold it
were,
up for the public to see.
for the public to understand, these have already been read, and this is all posted on our website, so they're...
And we held the public hearing just right at the beginning of this meeting.
That's true. That is very true. All right, moving on to a roll call vote.
This order will be for the temporary easement of the property at 359 Beecham.
Thank you, Clerk.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega. Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order has been adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we move on to the next order regarding the eminent domain taking of 145 Market Street. Reading was waived.
I will make the motion once again to waive the rest of the reading, this for the first of the two takings, if there are no objections, and move it to a roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, Councilor Robinson? You're good? Okay, all right, moving on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson. Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Order has been adopted.
Thank you, Clerk. And now on to that third item.
This will be for the proposed eminent domain taking of a portion of 359 Beecham Street.
Move to waive the rest of the reading and adopt under a roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, Counselor, let's move on to a roll call vote.
A yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 members voting in favor, 0 opposed, and 0 absent. Order adopted. Our final item under second readings, we have a communication received from the city manager being read for the second time, requesting council approval of appointment to Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board. Dear councilors, pursuant to section 4-2 of the Charter of the City of Chelsea, I am writing to recommend the following individual to a board or commission in the city. For appointment to Affordable Housing Trust Fund Board, the city's Director of Housing and Community Development, Ben Cares, to fill the unexpired term of Deputy City Manager of Operation Devon Fields while she is away on maternity leave.
Madam President, move to adopt under roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, Counselor, let's move on to a roll call vote.
Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesh.
Yes.
Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
11 members in favor, 0 opposed, 0 absent. Appointments approved, and we are done with second readings.
Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to new business.
First item under new business, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor. Order that the Chelsea City Council act on the report of the Community Preservation Committee on the awarding of grant funding to this FY25 community preservation projects in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44B, Section 5(3)D, and in accordance with Chapter 2, Article 7, Division 3, Section 2-330 of the Revised Code of Ordinances of the City of Chelsea. And be it further ordered that the Chelsea City Council appropriates following amounts from Community Preservation Act Open Space Reserve as recommended by Community Preservation Committee. $200,000 for Polonia Park. Be it further ordered that the Chelsea City Council appropriate the following amounts from Community Preservation Act Historic Reserve, as recommended by Community Preservation Committee, $197,433 for Walnut Street Synagogue. And be it further ordered that the Chelsea City Council appropriates the following amounts from the budgetary reserve as recommended by Community Preservation Committee. $100,000 for La Collaborativa Housing Voucher Program, $200,000 for the Quinn Residences, and $100,000 for the Neighborhood Developers Top-Off Rental Assistance Program.
Thank you, Clerk.
Move to Ways and Means.
Moving to Ways and Means. The next item on the agenda.
Next item under new business, we have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor. Order that in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 64, Budget Management Procedures, whereby costs incurred in FY24 were not paid and are owed to vendor, and to meet this obligation, funds are required from current year FY25 budget as noted. The Chelsea City Council authorizes the following expenditure to satisfy the unpaid balance from prior year as follows. City Clerk Department in the amount of $80 to the Chelsea Record as a cost for advertisement.
Thank you, Clerk.
Move to Ways and Means.
Moving to Ways and Means. Seeing no objections, moving on to the next item.
I truly hope you have more items for that meeting, because having a meeting for $80 sounds, maybe we should just talk about it at our next meeting.
Due diligence.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor being ordered that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53F3-4, the Chelsea City Council hereby approves the FY26 PEG access budget as follows. $229,762 for Chelsea Cable Television, $85,000 for Chelsea Public Schools, and $130,000 for the City of Chelsea.
Thank you, Clerk.
Move to Ways and Means.
Moving to Ways and Means. Moving on to the next item.
Order introduced by Councilor Taylor. Order that in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44B, Section 6, the Chelsea City Council hereby acts on the report of the Community Preservation Committee on the FY26 Community Preservation Budget. And be it further ordered that the Chelsea City Council reserves for appropriation the following amounts from estimated FY26 receipts as recommended by Community Preservation Committee. $124,458, or 10% of estimated revenue for acquisition, creation, and preservation of open space. $124,458, 10% of estimated revenue for acquisition, preservation, rehabilitation, and restoration of historic resources. $248,916, or 20% of estimated revenue for acquisition, creation, preservation, and support of community housing. And $684,521, or 55% of estimated revenue to budgeted reserve. And $62,229, or 5% of estimated revenue for CPC administrative expense.
Move to Ways and Means.
Moving to Ways and Means. Moving on to the next item.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Taylor. Order that pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 59, Section 23, the Chelsea City Council authorizes the appropriation of $122,177.09 in free cash for the purpose of closing out deficits in the following accounts that are no longer active and have been identified as structurally deficient by the Auditing Department and the Massachusetts Division of Local Services.
Thank you, Clerk.
Move to Ways and Means.
Moving to Ways and Means. On to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by the Council President. Whereas it is the express purpose of municipal zoning to promote the health, safety, and general welfare of the inhabitants of the City of Chelsea. And whereas the City Administration desires to clarify language in an amendment to the zoning ordinance of the City of Chelsea previously adopted by the City Council in September 2023 related to the granting of relief of off-street parking space requirements and eligibility to participate in the city's residential parking sticker program. And whereas in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, the Planning Board has, during a duly posted meeting held Tuesday, May 27, 2025, voted unanimously to recommend the Chelsea City Council adopt the amendment as proposed to Section 34-106J6, off-street parking requirements of the zoning ordinances of the City of Chelsea. And whereas the Chelsea City Council has held a public hearing on the proposed zoning amendment, now therefore be it ordered that the revised Code of Ordinances of the City of Chelsea as amended be as follows. Amendment to Section 34-106J6, off-street parking requirements to read as follows. Any relief from the number of required off-street parking spaces in the zoning ordinance shall disqualify that location from participating in the residential parking sticker program.
Thank you, Clerk.
Madam President, move to,
Is there an amendment?
oh, sorry.
So I'll ask our clerk to please share.
When the order was originally drafted, it was presumed that the council would have had its public hearing by now. The council has not. So the fourth whereas will need to be removed and a public hearing be scheduled, which is already scheduled for our final meeting on the 23rd.
I guess just amend it so that it makes sense for our final meeting.
So move to amend,
Or just refer it to, move it to a second reading and public hearing.
oh, wait, so move it to a second reading and public hearing.
Awesome. Thank you.
Public hearing scheduled for our final meeting, June 23rd, City Council Chambers.
Awesome. Thank you, Clerk. Moving on to the next item.
Next item under new business, we have an order introduced by the council president. Ordered that pursuant to Chapter 171 of the Legislative Acts of 2014 and Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 4A, the Chelsea City Council approves the City of Chelsea entering into an agreement for the North Suffolk Public Health Collaborative with the municipalities of Revere and Winthrop.
Thank you, Clerk.
Madam President, move to a second reading.
Moving to a second reading. All right, moving on to the next item.
Next item under new business, we have an order introduced by the council president. A resolution to file and accept an intermunicipal agreement with and from the cities of Everett, Malden, Chelsea, and the town of Arlington for the implementation of cooling features at high heat, high ridership bus stops within the city of Chelsea. Whereas the goal of this project is community-led designs of cooling strategies in environmental justice communities. And whereas all parties recognize the importance of collaboration and sharing resources to achieve their respective goals. And whereas Mass General Law, Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 40, Section 4A, empowers municipalities to enter into intermunicipal agreements for the management and completion of complex regional projects. And whereas the City of Chelsea has for years recognized the dangers of unaddressed extreme heat and urban heat island effects, and the vulnerability that the city faces due to undeniable impacts of climate change and overabundant presence of impervious surfaces. And whereas the priorities detailed in the city's 2018 Community Resilience Building Workshop Summary of Findings identified extreme heat as a top climate hazard. And whereas Chelsea has some of the highest ridership bus stops in the MBTA network, where residents are often waiting without shade or cooling during the hottest parts of summer. And whereas Mass General Law, Part 1, Title 7, Chapter 40, Section 4A empowers municipalities to enter into municipal agreements for the management and completion of complex regional projects. And whereas the City of Chelsea, through the Department of Housing and Community Development, is the subrecipient of an MVP action grant through a regional project with the cities of Everett and Malden and the town of Arlington for $687,000 to advance the design and implement cooling features at bus stops. And whereas the City of Everett, the City of Malden, the town of Arlington, and the City of Chelsea secured the MVP grant from the Executive Office of Energy and Environmental Affairs towards the same milestone.
Madam President, can we waive the rest of the reading and move to a roll call vote on the adoption of the cooling features that I'm very excited for?
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Gennaro Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Absolutely.
Councilor Recupero. Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher is absent. Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
10 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Order adopted.
We got a lot of orders tonight, got to keep it light.
Yes, we do. Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by the Council President, order that pursuant to Section 2-192 of the Revised Code of Ordinances of the City of Chelsea, the City Council authorizes the city manager to execute any and all documents to extend the lease for the tenancy at 324 Marginal Street, Chelsea, Massachusetts, until 2055.
Is there a motion?
Move to adopt under roll call vote.
Seeing no objections, moving on to a roll call vote.
Roll call vote requested. Yes vote to adopt. Councilor Tenari Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Jimenez Rivera.
Yes.
Councilor Recupero.
Yes.
Councilor Taylor.
Yes.
Councilor Robinson.
Yes.
Councilor Tesher is absent. Councilor Kelly Garcia.
Yes.
Councilor Santiago.
Yes.
Councilor Vega.
Yes.
Councilor Brown.
Yes.
And Councilor De Jesus.
Yes.
10 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 absent. Order has been adopted. Moving on, our next item under new business, order introduced by Councilor Robinson. Order that the city manager provide an update to the city council on the status of the redevelopment project at the Veterans Home.
Councilor Robinson.
Adopted unanimously on the suspension. I'll be brief, actually. I attended the Soldiers Home event on the Thursday before Memorial Day, and some of the veterans have approached me because they feel there's been a lack of communication to the veterans as to what's going on with the development. The city manager did send me an email to kind of give me an update, but being I put the order in, I want to make sure that the veterans know that we're paying attention to what's going on up there.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
We have an order introduced by Councilor Robinson. Order that the city manager provide an update to the city council on the future status of the shelter for migrants currently located at the former Quigley Hospital in light of the governor's recently announced plan to close all hotel shelters this summer.
Counselor Robinson.
Adopt this unanimously under suspension. Just very briefly, the governor did mention that they were going to close all hotels, but didn't really mention anything about shelters. And some of the people in the neighborhood have asked me what, if I knew anything in regards to the shelter. I don't have any information. That's why I put this order in.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Jimenez.
Yeah, I just want to just briefly address this. I thank the counselor for putting this order in, because I think it's a challenge, right? And I think that cutting funding where there is currently a need is putting our families at risk that have been up there in the shelter for a while. I think what I've been hearing from the state is that, you know, they don't have the funding, right? We can continue to support this shelter, these shelters, and, you know, instead of having a shelter funding issue, we are now going to have a homeless families issue. So I think it's honestly disgraceful that the state is doing this instead of figuring out ways to make it work. So I would, you know, I would encourage us to remain active in supporting these families any way that we can, because at the end of the day, they do live down the street from me, and I frankly don't want to see people homeless, you know, in my community. That's just not Chelsea's values, it's not Massachusetts' values, and I think that we should be pushing our state government to continue to support these families as much as we can so that we're not putting people out on the street. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Recupero.
From what I understand, the shelter's closing June 11th. That's what they said. They shut it down next month, this month.
All right. Thank you, Counselor. We will hear from the state as to the response that we get after this meeting, and we'll share with the public. Moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the Traffic and Parking Commission approve the installation of a stop sign on Central Avenue at the intersection with Sharman Street in the eastbound direction.
Adopt under suspension with no objection. I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor, Counselor.
I put in to put a stop sign there. There's a four-way intersection. There's supposed to be stop signs, the four ways coming in and out. They had, at least I know of 3 accidents that has happened within 2-month period. The parking and traffic said there's no need of it. They killed children. They go there, they stop because they go to Schindler School. I don't understand why the Parking and Traffic Commission does not care about the people in our city. They should have put a stop sign. In a 4-way intersection, there's a stop sign on all ways. So they didn't do it. There's a stop sign, 1, 2, there's 3 of them. And the one that it was supposed to, they didn't put it. So they have an accident. They had an accident just a week ago. And a month ago, they had another one. So what are you waiting for? A little kid to get crushed? Or what are you waiting for? Another person to really get injured bad? Why? Because you decide it's not right to put a stop sign there? You should put a stop sign. If the council, if I put in to put a sign there because the people are telling me and asking me to tell you to put one there because it's dangerous, but yet you keep insisting to deny it. How many times do I have to come in front of you for you to say to me, well, it's okay, we're going to put a sign? Don't you listen to what the people want? What do you think? I tell you to put these signs because it's a joke? I want to put stop signs everywhere? Listen sometimes to us councilors. Don't keep saying to us, you know better. We know better because the people are telling us, and we live there. So follow the rules and put a stop sign, because in a 4-way intersection, I believe you should have signs on all 4 ways. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Madam President, can I quickly
Counselor
comment?
Jimenez.
Yeah, I just want to quickly comment on Councilor Recupero's order. You know, I have a child that attends the ELC, and I'm there constantly, you know, doing pickup and drop off, and there are a number of areas, including this intersection, that, you know, we should be looking into how we can create better safe spaces for our children to navigate, you know, and parents and caretakers. I know the school district today got an award for the Safe Streets Initiative. So I know that there is work happening in that areas, but if there's any way that we, the city, can support the school district in any kind of initiative to promote, you know, better crossings. I know, you know, there's a couple of intersections where, you know, there might not be a crossing guard. So anything that we can do to support improving the safety, not just at the ELC, but at all of our schools, I'd be happy to, you know, help support that. And I know many of my colleagues here would also. So please and thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on, Counselor Sandegate.
I just want to say that what seems to be aggravating the situation there, in addition to lacking one stop sign, is that people are still continuing to go down Shawmut Street toward Chester the wrong way. The direction of that street changed, and there are do not enter signs, but I haven't seen anyone. I've seen many people not following that. So that just adds to the danger there. I literally was almost hit head on by a car coming down. So I don't want to end up in Garden Cemetery sooner than I have to.
Thank you, Counselor. All right, moving on to the next item.
Next, we have an order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the city manager instruct the Department of Public Works to approve the planting of a tree in front of 50 Maverick Street.
Adopt under suspension. I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor, Counselor.
I was told that they can't put a tree there because the pipelines or whatever is there. Maybe it was next door to 50, but I know there was a tree there, and there's still a hole. So fill up the hole again with a tree. That's what you're supposed to do. If there's a hole, put a tree. It was there before. So they told me that you can't put one at 50 because pipeline, there's pipes, there's water, hydrant. So the hole is next door, so put it next door. So I might have made a mistake, the exact correct address, but you can see there's a hole there. So if there's a hole there, put a tree. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor.
Words to live by. More trees in our city.
Moving on to the next item.
Order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the city manager direct the Department of Public Works to repair potholes on Congress Avenue.
Adopt under suspension. There's an objection. I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor, Counselor.
They've been trying to patch up the holes, but really what happens is this city has a big problem. The big problem is the utility companies come in. They dig up these streets, and they don't put them the way they're supposed to put them. You have to wait. So because that street was recently done, it was all nice. Now there's potholes and cars are being broken up. The city should be on top of these utility companies. I think the city has an agreement that it's supposed to go back to the way it was. And these utility companies never put them back to the way they are. The city spends all kinds of money to fix these holes. Then they come, they fix it. Oh, we got to fix it. Then they throw a patch on it, and within 2-3 months, the hole becomes a big indentation that your tire falls inside of. So we should be more on top of these utility companies. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item.
Order introduced by Councilor Recupero. Order that the city manager direct the Department of Public Works to trim grass and clean tree beds across District 6.
Adopt under suspension. I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor.
A lot of these trees, the grass grows, and it takes a while. It becomes, and then all the dogs go and do whatever they got to do on them. And maybe if they cut them, they won't do that. And I would like to see the city manager, maybe DPW, come and assess all the districts that have these trees and look around and periodically go around and see which one are the ones that need to be trimmed. And without councils telling them they have to do it, they should do it on their own. Just by assessing how the trees are on the area, whatever district it is that has a lot of trees. So I believe there would be a more efficient way to make sure there's no grass around these trees. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the next item. Oh, Counselor Brown. Counselor Sandegate.
I was just going to say that I think it's a great idea if they could be proactive, but I also have had excellent service whenever I have shared any problems on 311 with photographs, and those issues have been closed in very very quickly. So I just want to give a shout out to the different departments who do address any issues such as a tree needing to be trimmed, et cetera. And I've also had excellent communication if for some reason so for example, there's a tree overgrown, but I didn't know that the bucket truck was out of service. But then when I put it into 311, then I knew that it was out of service, and they let me know, and then they let me know when it was back on the road again. So I have been impressed with using 311 for such things as tree pits, et cetera.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to the...
Madam President.
Oh, Counselor Taylor.
Sorry, I just want a clarification on something. I was under the impression that the trees that are planted in the sidewalks are the grass that grows up around them are the residents' responsibility to keep those groomed in front of their property. Can we get some sort of a clarification on that from DPW?
Is that a motion for suspension of the rules?
Manager, if you can join us on the
If there's,
conversation.
without objection.
Thank you. I mean, I think it's Councilor Cooper is right that technically it is city property, right? But I would also say that it is virtually impossible for DPW to maintain the 84 miles of sidewalks that are in Chelsea, right? So in many neighborhoods, we have implemented programs where residents do take care of their sidewalks, right? And they beautify a lot of tree pits. We have a program in DPW where we actually pay for it. So it's better when we work together. It's more efficient, right? I think that it would be a little wasteful to hire a few DPW employees to just do picking up trash on tree pits. So it is a balance, I think, and the more that residents can do to help us, the better it's going to be.
Madam President, I'm not quite sure I understood the answer, whether it is or it is not. Can residents be ticketed for not doing it?
No.
So it is not
It is not their legal responsibility. That's right. It is the area on the other side of your city line, right? I'm sorry, on your property line, it is the city's responsibility.
Councilor Sanegate. Oh,
I
Councilor Taylor.
must have been misinformed by someone.
No. You've been well informed. Keep maintaining your area, please.
Councilor Sanegate.
I just wanted to give a shout out to one of my constituents on this topic. Not only did Mr. Manlio Mendez help a tree on Watt Street, it had been hit a lot of times by vehicles, et cetera, but he has worked hard with his own materials and labor to protect the tree, and we even met together to brainstorm ways to add more trees to the street. It's a street I grew up on, so I have a soft spot for it. But I just, he really did some excellent work, and I just wanted to thank him for doing that publicly, and hopefully it will encourage others to do the same. And there are restrictions. We can't be building big, huge benches and boxes, et cetera, but as long as the roots are protected, as long as the roots are allowed to grow, I think that is a great initiative, and it will protect the trees. And so I don't think people who do try to protect the trees should be chastised for doing that. I think that they should be commended. So I'm commending him.
Thank you, Councilor. We have one more item with Councilor Recupero.
Order introduced by Councilor Councilor Recupero ordered that the city manager direct relevant city departments to conduct a study on the configuration of traffic and streetlight timings at the intersection of Marginal Street and Eastern Avenue near the Chelsea Street Bridge.
Adopt under suspension. I'd like to speak on it.
You have the floor.
I don't know what we can do to make it better, but I think we should try. There's a big issue going on Central Avenue with the buses. They come out of the parking lot. They come in and they block, once they're out, they're so big, they block the whole section. So now everything gets backed up to Central Avenue, everything gets backed up the other, going down to Marginal Street, going down to Eastern Avenue. So I don't know how we can fix the situation, but it should be fixed because those buses are so big. When they come out, half of it is in and half of it is out. So maybe we should figure out a way. There must be a way because the way it is now, it's not working. And it creates a bigger traffic jam than it has. Oh, I know what we should do. Maybe we should teach the bus drivers, should send them to school to learn how to drive so they don't block both sides of the road. You know what I mean? Like they ticket us, people that say, you don't know how to drive. What about them? They have no consideration for the people that drive down. How are you gonna put a bus that's that big to close the whole street?
All right. Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you.
Councilor Sandegate.
I do believe from my attendance at a recent Traffic and Parking Commission meeting that this very issue came up. And I do believe that it may involve a light somehow that is going to be placed there in the Massport parking lot bus lane, I believe. I can't recall all the details, but it did come up for the very reason, so.
I hope it doesn't take 22 years.
All right. Let's, Councilor Robinson.
Yeah. On behalf of Recupero, they're going to adjust the lights so that the buses will be able to come out and not block the traffic like they have been doing for the past several years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, and thank you, Councilor Brown.
Madam President, I wasn't going to say anything, but I ride the Silver Line and the bus 104 and the 112 every day. I see Cliff on it many times on the 112. It's just been an increase of buses. As we know, the 104 coming out of Malden, coming down through Chelsea is the new bus to go in that direction. And the lights are just so, off. I'm not sure how off they are, but they create a really jam in the morning and in the afternoon. So it's something that I've spoken to 585 about, and they are having conversations, so I don't know where they are with the conversation, but I can tell you, you got the Paul Revere, you got the blue buses, you got the Silver Line, you got the 104, you got the 112. So all those buses are coming over, and they're trying to get over into East Boston, and you got the cars coming down Eastern Ave and Meridian Street, so it somewhat causes that jam there. It's frustrating, but it is getting better. And also, I'll leave that for announcements later. But that's where some of the chaotic situations are coming with the buses. It's not that they don't know how to drive.
Thank you, Councilor. So I will move us right along to public announcements, and I will ask our councilors to please share as much as possible public announcements so that then we can move on to moments of silence. Councilor Sandegate.
Yes, there will be a subcommittee on conference for public safety tomorrow evening at 6 p.m. in the chamber. And there will also be a public safety meeting at Chelsea Public Library on the 10th of June at 6 p.m. With the chief and the city manager. So I would like to encourage people to attend one or both of those meetings if possible, especially since it is a very important topic right now, and the summer months are approaching, and we know that that's even a busier time. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Madam President. I have two announcements. One is I just got word that the folks up in Admiral's Hill who's been patiently waiting to find out if there's going to be any hearings coming up on the proposal for seafood operation up there at the old Signature Bread Place. I just got announcements today, confirmed that the petitioners have filed. There's no date set for the hearings as of yet, but I just want you to be aware, if you're listening and you're interested, that the petitioners have filed a petition to go before the boards. And as soon as those dates come, I'll do all my just duty to get that information to the property owners up there through the association, through Lundred Management. Secondly, if you are riding, speaking of buses, if you are riding the 111 or 112 or the 104 going to the Blue Line, starting June 7th to the 15th, the Blue Lines from Orient Heights to Bowdoin will be buses only. So if you concerned about traffic and you're concerned about getting to work on time, be aware that there will be no Blue Line service from June 7th to the 15th from Orient Heights to Bowdoin Station. And again, that's the Blue Line only. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Moving on to moments of silence. Seeing none. All right, meeting adjourned, team.
Good job.